Alright, guys, welcome back. This is going to be Hoodoo 215. Now, look, if I mess up these these course numbers and these titles, listen, don't judge me for it. I'm just trying to span these out and give it some sort of structure. Also, this is also for the paywall. I want to make these courses very recognizable. Those that are free, those that are not free. These new ones, at first, they're not going to be free. So first, these are going to come out exclusively to my FEM, my Fem Plus patrons on Patreon.com, and eventually they'll be open to the public. But some courses like 300 and whatever I did, 300 and 400 course would definitely be exclusively for Fem Plus patrons. So again, this is Hoodoo 215. This is altar building. And not only is it just altar building, but of course this is Hoodoo altar building. Not only is it for Hoodoo, but this is also for, this is Midsummer Hoodoo. This is sort of my magic. And basically what that means is this is going to be just a very general scope of altar building, because Midsummer is a school that is going to be for a general demographic of Black folk, but especially for Black trans folk. And so just to reiterate, Hoodoo is specifically for the descendants of chattel slaves in America. And so there's no need for, if you're just simply Black living in America, there's no need for you to try and induct yourself or initiate yourself into Ifa or Haitian voodoo or any other type of African traditional religion if you don't come from that tribe. Don't do that sort of misappropriation. It's not needed. It's a bit ignorant. It's really not necessarily. If you are not from those tribes, then don't try and study that magic. You have your own religion. You have your own spirituality, which is Hoodoo. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. I don't know why you would be ashamed of that. Actually, I do. The connotations behind Hoodoo and the history of Hoodoo. People in America and Black folk in America, due to Christianity, have largely they were turned away from Hoodoo. It was deemed demonic. So there are some historical connotations there, but this is something that you need to not be ashamed of. I don't know why you would be a child, a Black American, children of Black slaves, trying to induct yourself into a Jamaican spirituality or Ifa or Igbo or Haitian voodoo. I don't know why you would try and induct or indoctrinate yourself into those and be praying to ancestors of other tribes that are not yours. You have ancestors here. They actually mean something, like they need to be revered. Like, study Hoodoo. Pray to your Hoodoo ancestors. All right, so to get started, first you want to, of course, cleanse your space. And the way that I'm going to do that today is I have Florida water. Now, of course, you do not need to have Florida water, especially this brand. They just have this at the magic shop that I go to, and I think it's very cute and I think it's pretty. Now, I understand what's in Florida water, and even though this company is a white company, this is owned by white people, I still do believe in the ingredients that are used here, regardless of who is putting the ingredients or who is archiving the information. Even if it's Hoodoo information, regardless if those people are white, that does not change the magic, and it doesn't change the properties for you. Now, it could be the case that the information could be wrong, or that the ingredients could be wrong. You don't need to worry about that. If your intention, if you go to a magic shop and it's owned by white people and your intention is to buy something that you're doing magic for later, that's on them if they've purposely got it wrong. That's not on you if you are not aware of if some information is wrong, or if some ingredients and something that is magical is wrong. That's not on you. Now, what you can do is you can try and source your own ingredients. You can make your own Florida water so you know exactly what is in it, but you cannot control what white people do. And so the influence that white ignorance has on whatever you are root working. If you're not knowledgeable of that, then the root is going to work for you regardless. I mean, you'll be able to tell eventually. The magic will tell you eventually that you need to go your own way. You need to resource your own things. So I got this because I know it's in this. I know the connotations. I know that white people make this, but I know it's in this, and quite honestly, quite frankly, I use this knowing the white institutionality and the misappropriation of the magic. I use a lot of white elements and white properties, especially Christianity, especially the King James Bible, knowing the misappropriation and knowing the sort of violence that was happening in that time, which is why I prefer to use a King James Version Bible when I'm doing my magic. Regardless, I use the King James Version Bible over any other version because of the inquisitions that were happening on witches during the time that the King James Version Bible was translated or was made. So again, you can use whatever you want to clean your altar. Tonight I'm going to use Florida water. Make your own Florida water. You can use vinegar. You can use simple soap. Pray over your water. Pray over your soap. It's not simply about cleaning the surface. It's not simply about antibacterial. It's about cleansing your space and sort of getting yourself in the mode to build an altar. It's about cleansing the space and preparing it. It's sort of a sacrifice and sort of community building and doing your part and doing your work in community with your ancestors. So this towel it's a little damp. It's pretty damp. It's got a nice amount of water in it. So I'm just gonna sprinkle some Florida water. It's just like regular cleaning. How much cleaning agent would you put on this table if it was something else? And so in this apartment, in the cat sanctuary, I have built an altar before, but I've never had the intention that altar was permanent. But for a while now, it's been on my mind, and the Spirit has been telling me that I need to build a permanent setting. Now that I know that I'm going to be here, I know how long that I'm going to be here, I need to set a permanent altar for that time. And that's what I'm going to do here on this table. But before, I did not know how long I was going to be here. Now that I do, this is going to be my permanent altar. My ancestors need a permanent space to convene. And now, again, this is Hoodoo. So this is going to be very general, but also very specific to Hoodoo, very specific to the Christian connotations and the Christian mythology that is in Hoodoo. But just for reference, if this was another culture, a lot of other African cultures, they have a lot of the original African tenets. And so those are very strict. There are very strict laws there, which I cannot speak to. But if you are from one of those tribes or from one of those cultures, you know that there are there's some very strict things that need to be done when you're building an altar and from those coming out of those cultures. So there would be some specific things that you would put on those altars. But today, we're going to learn some things that you might find on a Hoodoo altar and why. And so it's going to be very general. It's going to be very open-ended. I like to think of Hoodoo as the androids, as the android of the African traditional religions, because it's very open-ended. the source code is very open-ended for you to do what you want to do, is because slaves in the States, they needed to work with what they had. They did not keep a lot of the customs and the languages, like in Haiti, like in other islands. They didn't keep a lot of the language and the customs and cosmology. That's how the Haitian Revolution took place. I mean, I'm definitely not saying that the Haitian Revolution was for none, but the Haitian Revolution definitely did happen. Is because those were Haitian spirits. That was Haitian cosmology. Those were Haitian deities getting that work done. It's because those people, they did not lose those deities. They did not lose those spirits. They did not lose that religion. So they knew exactly what to do to take those white people down. Now, in Hoodoo, that's not the case. In Hoodoo and in the States, sorry, I'm just going to get the legs of these chairs and things like that. Now, in Hoodoo, in the States, that was not the case. A lot of tribes came here mixed and broken up. People were torn from their family. They were placed in all different parts of the States. And so a lot of them could not communicate with one another. And so they had to create a religion, and they had to create a spirituality from scratch, which is why you have Christianity tied to Hoodoo, is because they were stealing the codes, they were stealing the esoteric language and meaning from Christianity in order to build a new one. It's because they didn't have a language. They didn't have a language to speak that was different from their slave holders. So they needed to find another language. And now some people do say that the reason why Christianity is integrated in Hoodoo is because it was also a cover-up. Yes, that could very well be. But we can't ignore the fact that they were also able to sense and realize the esoteric meanings of the Christianity that was being used to enslave them. They were able to see around the cognition, and they were able to see around the train of thought that the slaveholders were trying to indoctrinate in them, and they were like, no, this is bullshit. We understand what Christianity is, and we understand that it has been here long before slavery has been here. So we're going to use it to do what it's really meant for. But today you definitely still have evangelicals using Christianity to oppress people. The evangelical church is very conservative. It is very Republican. It is very violent. It's a bunch of old white men being very violent to marginalize and oppress people. Hi, Kiki. And not only is it a bunch of old white men being very violent to oppress people, it's a bunch of black men being their monkeys, pushing out the same messages to their congregation, but in blackface. And here at Midsummer, we won't have it, right? Okay, so the main piece of my altar is going to be flowers. So plants and flowers. I hope that you can understand the connotations behind plants, behind flowers. I hope that I don't need to explain that too much, but these have a memory. Although they've been cut, we've sacrificed them. They are now dying. We've sacrificed them for this altar, for the sake of decoration. They still have memories. They still have meaning. They still have symbolism. There is still a connotation behind them. And so this is a new moon, and so this altar that I'm setting up now will remain here from tonight, the new moon, until the full moon. So I I've chosen some very like springtime, very giving, very indulgent and sweet, very just glamorous, you know, colors and flowers, as opposed to some flowers that would have some like cleansing properties, or some more I don't know, some more humble colors and some more humble flowers. But since we're not looking for a sense of humbleness here, we're definitely demanding our blessings. We're demanding our gifts, and so this is going to be very festive and very indulgent. Now, what you have in these containers here, there's lemon juice. There is the rind of the lemon that the juice came from. There's sugar in here, and then there's also plant feed. And those things are not only going to extend the life of the flowers, but the sugar and the lemon, the magical properties of those will also be infused in the flowers and infused in this altar. So let me get some water. Now I am using filtered water. You do not need to use filtered water, but you definitely want to pray over your water. Anytime you drink water, anytime you use water, we want to pray over it. So I'm going to pray a prayer for blessings. I'm going to pray the prayer of Jabez. I love this prayer. This is a prayer that I pray during a new moon to a full moon for increase, for blessings. Oh, that thou would bless me indeed, enlarge my territory. May your hand be with me and keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. Oh, that thou would bless me indeed, enlarge my territory. May your hand be with me and keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. Oh, that thou would bless me indeed, enlarge my territory. May your hand be with me and keep me, that it may not grieve me. Oh, that thou would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory. May your hand be with me and keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. Oh, that thou would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory. May your hand be with me and keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And now, this isn't for, I mean, hey, if you want it to be for looks, I'm nobody to tell you not to make it for looks. But you need to, for a lot of magic, it needs to not be about looking good for other people. You need to do the things that feel right to you. I mean, now, if you're going to be a glam witch, because, you know, glamour and glam is also a huge part of magic. You can do that. You can be that. This one is overflowing, honey. You can do that. You can be that. But you need to know that glam is what you're doing if you're going to do glam, okay? You need to know the connotations behind that. You need to make sure that you're not in a mode and that you're not in a state to where you're doing things for other people to look at, because that there's very little magic there. Very, I'm not even calling it low vibration, but I don't really see that being very effective magic, especially if you have low self-esteem and you're doing things for other people, if you're doing things for show for other people. No, this needs to be for you. You need to understand, if you're going to use something that's very pretty, you know, don't let what I'm doing, don't let my style and my aesthetic influence you. Do what you need to do. If you're going to put flowers on your altar, put the flowers that you want to put on your altar. Now, again, I put these here because these colors, to me, they incite festivity. They're very springtime, and this altar, again, this altar is for bringing in blessings. All right, so we've got flowers. And then I need to cut these candles a little bit more. also going to have candles on my altar. Make sure that we're not burning things down, of course. So make sure that when you light your candles that that honey, the flame is not about to burn the house down. I'm also choosing not to use holders for these, and I'm going to watch these while these burn a bit, just to make sure that the wax gives it a bit of stability, so that I don't have to pay as much attention to it later. But I'm not using these holders because I do have the intent of letting the wax flow down and letting the wax be a holder. Again, this is going to be here. For a few days. But these little candles, I might need to. Can I let these little candles stand up by themselves? I think they will. This yellow one won't. She's giving me issues. So I might have to get a holster for her and need to light her soon. So we're gonna have candles. What I'm also going to have is some fruit. And my fruit of choice is lemons. And now the lemon has, lemons are typically used for cleansing properties. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that this is an indulgent property or an indulgent fruit or an indulgent effect to add to the altar. But I'm putting lemons over here for a few reasons. It's typically because I do use lemon for a lot of celebrations. If you know that I make pound cake. Pound cake is a part of my magical convenience shop. It's the main product that I sell through Beastie Bake Ultimate Oven. And I use lemon in the pound cake a lot. So lemon to me is not only cleansing, but it's also very, it also reminds me of this sort of indulgence, the indulgence of lemon pound cake, which is why I'm adding lemon to the altar. And I'm also adding lemon to the altars because this is also a fruit that, that can stay here. Dried out lemon is actually used in a lot of root work. But again, even not dried out, not only can this lemon stay here, actually this got a few properties. This has a few reasons why I'm putting this here. So this can sit here and dry out here. It's not going to start to smell bad. It's actually going to just keep the apartment smelling really good. And it's also going to keep these cats off of it because they jump up here all the time. And when they jump up here and they smell this lemon, it's going to be a whole different story. Because cats really don't fuck with lemon. And it is a bit of a shame because it is good for your familiar to come around the altar. That's really great. This isn't really a cat specific. This isn't really a Kiki and Simon specific altar because it has flowers here. And there are a lot of different flowers here. I don't know which ones are healthy for them or not, but they do like to eat flowers, and they will eat flowers that can kill them. And I'm really not trying to handle cat bodies. I just I can't deal with it. All right, so I've got my lemon, I've got my flowers, I've got my candles. I also want to put salt. Oh, I'm missing a candle. Now this is a candle. This is red candle is one that I used during the last waxing moon phase. So I could put that one right here. No, I don't want. I think I'm gonna put it right here. I'll put it right here. Actually, it's a great idea. I'm going to take her, sit her right there, right up against this. She's having issues, like she can't stand up on her own. And put her right here. Perfect. So again, I'm gonna watch these candles and make sure that they give themselves a good melting in place. And then so then when I'm able to light them tomorrow, I don't have to really pay attention to them much because the wax surrounding them will harden them in place. But definitely use holders if you have them or find them. Just to, if you're not the type who's going to watch these candles and make sure that you don't burn the place down. I also want a dish of salt. Now, salt works just like crystals. And so I'm adding this salt just like I would be adding crystals. This is going to hold energy. This is going to hold all of the energy that I give to this. So if I have any negative energy, this salt is going to take it up and hold it. So I think I'll place that right there for now. But speaking of salt and crystals, I also own some rose quartz. So I'm going to put my rose quartz, which also has this sort of very indulgent, lusty, very loving, passionate. You use rose quartz for sort of love spells, unity spells, friendship spells. So that's good for this altar. I really love these colors and these flowers. I'm really into that. It's really cute. Let's see, what else do I want? My cards. These are my cardomancy cards. And so I can charge these up, let the spirit play with these. I can put my cardomancy cards, I'll put them here. And then I also want my journal here. Now, speaking of my journal, you do want to add sort of a personal or ancestral affect. And I personally, I don't think that I have any, not with me here in this apartment at least. I don't have any sort of ancestral or personal effects, items passed down to me or items from family. I'm trying to think if I have something from my mom. I don't think so. My mom is not deceased, but it's still good to have pictures. You can have pictures of relatives who are alive, but definitely photos of ancestors or relatives who have transitioned and who have passed on. Those are perfect. If you want to invoke those ancestors on your altar, you can definitely add those. But for personal effects, for me individually, most of my familial and ancestral magic, I think the most powerful thing that I have right now with me for that is my journal. So I'm going to add my journal right here in the middle. Actually, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open it up. And do I need to write in this journal anytime soon? I don't think so. I also write notes from readings in this. So I have no problem just picking it up if I need it again. But I do want it to sit there in the middle. Kiki, can you get off of the door? Kiki, get off the door. Y'all don't know how these cats are driving me crazy. If you haven't watched my familiar class, there's a familiar 300 level class where I talk about why cats are the way that they are. You'll understand more. But these cats, they only exist in this space to work every one of my nerves, every last one. This is an incense holder, so I want some incense here. I have some rose incense, which also play into this indulgence and this very lusty, very giving, very blessed atmosphere and flavor and scent. So I'm going to also add some rose incense to this to that incense holder. let me grab that. I love this brand of incense. This is Satya. And I mean, they don't give you a lot, but it's always like $1.95. Let me see here. I don't think, they don't ever give you a lot. There's not ever a lot in here. So there's like 10 incense in here. That's not really bad for $1.50 or so. I don't know why this cat continues to like play on the door. She likes to play under the door, and so when I go to leave the apartment, I find all of her cat toys on the other side. I find my earrings on the other side. I find receipts on the other side of the door. Whoever, if you are looking to adopt a cat, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't, okay? Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. She's really sweet, really cute, but she does just simply like exist to just play, and sometimes it can become too much. I have some old incense in here that I have jammed in here, and now I can't fit the new ones in here. So let me get these old incense out. So I'm going to get these old crusty incense remain. I'm going to dig them out of the holder. The last thing I'm going to add to this altar, I haven't had dinner, so I'm also going to make myself a plate. I'm going to make myself for the 2 ancestors that I'll be talking to most at this altar. And I'm going to make those plates, and I will go ahead and set those up on the altar when I get back. Okay?